What happened to the most attractive person in your high school or college? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. We had a girl in my high school that was literally a teen model. Everyone her age knew she was untouchable due to her looks, but she really was an intelligent, modest sweetheart. Senior year, she got hooked on some prescription drugs and ended up marrying an older physician who would prescribe for her in exchange for booty calls. She was 18 and he was early 40 feet. We all assumed that relationship was sadly going to be an absolute train wreck. 10 years later, she was clean, graduated from an MFA program, and they had started a beautiful family together. He was a successful surgeon and she was a stay-at-home mom who did fashion design on the side. They traveled quite often worldwide to fashion shows to see her work. They seemed, on the outside anyway, to be happily married and enjoying a rather normal content life. He died in his mid-60s in a car accident and she inherited everything. Last I heard, she was still doing high fashion design part-time and raising the kids. Story 2. Hottest guy at my school became a fairly successful dealer in college. We're not talking pot, dude was dealing hard drugs. He would even supply his own sister, their parents weren't in the picture. When we asked him why, he said, "I have paid for her to go to rehab 3 times. It doesn't stick. And if I don't give it to her, I know she'll be out there sucking dick to get it. At least this way I can somewhat limit what she's taking until I manage to get her off it." I could kind of see his logic. Story 3. I had a huge crush on the best-looking guy in our school. He was always friendly with me too. But anytime we were talking and his teammate at best friend came across us, the friend would start mocking and insulting me. It was so overt, my sister suggested the friend had a secret crush on me because why else was he so obsessed with teasing or insulting me for no reason? Yeah, it wasn't me he had the crush on. Apparently my crush and his teammate friend are now in a relationship. No clue if it started in high school or after. Story 4. One of my high school crushes became a good friend for a very brief time after she moved out of town. We became pen pals back when that was a thing. But we lost touch. A few years later, I walked into the office at the local newspaper and found her obituary at the top of a stack of death notices I needed to type up for the paper. She'd become bipolar, gotten pregnant by a guy who went to jail on some penny anti-burglary charge, had the kid, and killed herself after the baby's dad didn't get early parole for some stupid reason. I have literally thought of her at least once a day since the fall of 1998. Story 5. She was the best-looking girl. I am not the best-looking guy, but we became friends in grade 11. She said she didn't want to date anyone. But at the end of grade 11, we started casually dating. Fast forward 15 years, we own a house, are married, have 2 awesome dogs, and are trying for kids. As far as I'm concerned, she has only gotten better looking. Story 6. I personally didn't think she was the prettiest, but she definitely was the most popular. She is still living in our hometown, didn't go to college, and is now a lesbian. Last time I saw her, she was working at Sephora in the mall. Nothing wrong with any of those things, by the way, that's just what she's up to now. The prettiest person in my HS, accounting for all grades, years. She's a model now, lol, and dating a celebrity. I would say he's B-list or a list, lol. Story 7. Didn't see it personally in her, and probably not the most attractive person in high school, but a girl from my neighborhood who was always in a different relationship each month during HS got tapped shot in the head twice in Mexico, with her boyfriend disappearing and never being found again, a fake. Local police ruled it a suicide. It destroyed her parents. Her father was a pompous but her mom was a very sweet lady who was my colleague at a call center for a time. I felt really bad for her. Can't imagine having to live through such a horror scenario come true. Story 8. I find this question personally so fun. I ended up with one of the popular, attractive guys from my HS, not the most, but this is a good story. We ended up having a kid, and then he proved to be the biggest loser alive. He beat me, so I left when our kid was 2. He is the town drunk, in and out of jail, beat his next 3 GFS, was on the front page of the town paper for stealing a car, and so many more things. My son and I see his immediate family, he does not. Our son is an adult and hasn't seen him in decades. He's better off. My son is a very successful adult. My ex is the epitome of the home. Boy, did I win a prize by landing him. Estimated time of arrival. The effects of drinking alcohol all day every day have completely changed his looks as well. He's gaunt, pale and frail. His teeth are rotting and he doesn't even look like the person in HS. Story 9. Wendy S. I had the good fortune, if you will, of having my last name be very close to hers, so I had 4 years of sitting by her in homeroom, and in a few classes we shared as well. Knew her barely, nice girl, and was of the well-to-do background as well. So she did what one would expect. She went to college, married well, and then divorced some years ago, I don't know when. She lives in one of the nicer suburbs of DFW, and from the various Facebook postings I see, seems to live a life of independent means and lots of travel. Also has a lake house as well. She is very Christian, yet will still post the occasional thirst trap type photo online. Nothing too risque, but enough to let us know that at the age of 60 she lives a pretty enviable life on the surface. Story 10. Oh well, the who in this case is quite subjective, but I think there were 2 people who stood out in our class from high school. Both women. Person 1, she dumped her BF, then went and married a preacher. Then, not long after the wedding, she dipped out and lived in another state for a while. He ended up divorcing her due to infidelity and abandonment. It f***ed career up for a while, and it really messed with his head. He was a really good person when I knew him. That was at least 15 years ago. Person 2, she moved back to the town she lived in when she was young. Never went to college, drank herself into oblivion, never had kids, from what I'm aware of. Every so often Facebook asks if I know this person, and I click the profile to see what she's been up to, which is mostly nothing alcohol and drugs. Honestly, not many people in my class went on to do much with their lives. Story 11. The most popular and good-looking guy in my high school actually took me to prom and dated me for a year. He was also extremely nice and one of those people that could get along with anyone. Did I lose my high school best friend over this? Yes. I met this guy through my friend. They had traveled to the DR along with some other people in our year to build homes for the poor, and when they all came back, him and some other kids started hanging out with us regularly. I had suspected she had developed a crush on him along with me, and I spoke to her about it. She assured me she didn't have a crush on him. I knew it was a lie, and then got very mad and talked badly about me behind my back. When guy and I started dating, she even told the guy that I knew about her crush and didn't care about her feelings. The guy, bless him, told her very nicely that although she has feelings for him, he would have still chosen me over her because we simply had a lot more in common and better chemistry. Eventually, it took a summer, my friend and I started talking again and we're back to being friends. Anyway, a year later in college, he cheated on me and is now a doctor in England. And I'm happily married with a little family of my own, 11 years strong. Edit. As an adult, I now recognize that I shouldn't have dated this guy knowing my friend had feelings for him even though she denied them. But as a horny teenager, I was not thinking about that at all. Story 12. No idea, don't care. I was never part of that crowd anyway. But there was a girl at my kid's high school who, the first time I saw her at their awards day ceremony, my jaw literally dropped. She was a grade ahead of my eldest kid, and she was absolutely beautiful and had this aura that was simply magnetic. I asked my son about her, and he said she was considered the prettiest and most popular girl at their school, and that, in fact, she just recently won their high school. She served as a Miss Alabama Outstanding Teen, and later went on to become the first black Miss University of Alabama, then was crowned Miss Alabama and finished in the top 7 in the 2020 Miss America pageant. I think she's in law school now, so as far as how she turned out, I'd have to say not too bad. Story 13. The hottest guy from my high school was a generally nice guy that people liked being around. I just remember him being super smart, very kind, and incredibly charismatic throughout the time we were classmates. I didn't know him that well other than having a few classes with him and seeing him around small prep school. His parents were wealthy, but I don't remember him flexing his wealth. Quite the opposite. Other than his car and his family's house, you really wouldn't know. He was kind of a loner, just the type you would see off by himself writing in a notebook or reading, and not really tied to any friend groups, but very approachable at the same time. I remember him being drunk off his ass at our senior prom, and we shared a dance or two before he was off to the next, having a great time. It seemed like everyone knew his name, and he was nice to people when he met them. He was kind of the type of person John Green would love to make into a character in one of his books, in that way. No real drama as far as I remember. He went on to study at MIT but has moved back to the metro area of our city. He doesn't post much, no idea if he's dating anyone. He has shared his travels and the occasional family photo. One of my best friends from high school is family friends with his. They still hang out when she goes back to our hometown and seems like he's doing well and very normal. Story 14. There were a few. Girl 1. Standout beautiful, rich, elite family, extremely competitive student but non-materialistic. Aced all her degrees, committed suicide due to love failure over an average dude. Girl, uniquely beautiful, naturally graceful, elite family, intelligent and competent, a very good student, married the scion of a billionaire family. Girl 3, golden child of middle-class, average parents. Her exceptional beauty stood out in stark contrast to her ordinary surroundings. She was brilliant, talented, and a top student, married a rich, handsome dude, and had a very happy marriage. Then the dude died, she became a widow 30 with 2 small kids, went back to college, and is now a successful professional. Girl, pretty with the perfect figure and gorgeous hair. Extremely talented in the arts, the most popular girl in college, had the stage set for a career in showbiz. Then she disappeared. Everyone was insanely curious, but no one had a clue for over 15 years. Turns out she had joined a monastery of sorts and had been living there since in the service of their teacher. Story 15. He became a real estate agent and married an equally beautiful. From the age of 13 to meeting Cheryl though, he was a piece of. He knew he was the best-looking guy within a 100 kilometers radius, 62 Big Mac Eagles for the Americans. He used that beauty to torment girls and guys alike. Almost every attractive girl in school and even scored himself the big titty, big bootylicious 23-year-old student teacher when he was 16. Had the pictures to prove it. Ruined her career as a teacher and I have no idea what happened to her afterwards. He was an incredibly charismatic guy and could pick the secrets from a centuries-old corpse if he wanted to. And then use that information to either humiliate you, befriend you, or put it in his back pocket and do nothing with it. Then he got into a terrible car accident. He and his girlfriend were hit by a drunk driver in broad daylight when they were 21. She died instantly, and he was in the hospital for 6 weeks. He's never been the same since, and just over a year after that tragedy, he met Cheryl. She righted his ship and turned him into a pretty wonderful human being. He went on an apology tour when his first daughter was born and tried to talk to everyone he felt he wronged in high school. He told me that when he found it when he was having a girl, he cried for days when he first held her in his arms. He had the epiphany that he would kill and die for this girl. He then realized that if his daughter dated a guy like the little he would that kid. That was the ultimate reality check for him. His female counterpart, on the other hand, was a very kind and smart woman. She had some ups and downs like anyone, but graduated HS with a full scholarship. She works as a virologist at a national research lab. She ended up marrying me, and 15 years later, she remains the most beautiful woman I've ever met. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below.